What do procrastinating, overthinking a text, snapping at your partner, or pretending you're fine when you're clearly not all have in common? They might look like completely different problems, but a lot of the time, they're connected to the same skill most of us were never taught: emotional regulation. And here's what's wild: it shows up in way more of your life than you probably realize. Because emotional regulation isn't just about whether or not you lose your shit, it can shape your mental health, your relationships, your work, and the patterns you keep repeating without even realizing it. So, what is emotional regulation? Why has it become one of the most talked about skills in psychology? Why do so many people struggle with it? And most importantly, how do you actually build it for yourself? Good news, we're gonna cover all of that and more today. I'm Tawny, an emotional capacity coach, which basically means I help people break the patterns that get in the way of the life they want. But instead of focusing on the pattern itself, I'm usually more interested in finding out why it's happening in the first place. And that's exactly why we're talking about emotional regulation today. So, what is emotional regulation? The APA Dictionary of Psychology defines it as the ability of an individual to modulate an emotion or a set of emotions. Cool. But what does that actually mean? For us muggles, it means emotional regulation is your ability to manage your emotions in a healthy way, especially when they're intense. I'm having a meltdown! Fuck! I'm pissed! I guess you can say emotional regulation is basically the art of not losing your shit. Which, if you've ever been hangry, sent a text you immediately regretted, or cried in a Target parking lot,
Are you okay?
Yes, fine, thank you.
you already know is easier said than done. So why has emotional regulation become such a big deal? First of all, it's not just therapists talking about it anymore. It's psychologists, coaches, parents, teachers, CEOs, content creators, even employers. And there's a really good reason for that. Over the last couple of decades, researchers kept noticing something fascinating. Whether they were studying anxiety, depression, burnout, relationships, resilience, or even workplace performance, they asked all these different questions and kept getting the same answer: emotional regulation. Because no matter what they were studying, researchers kept finding that the way we regulate our emotions has a huge impact on how we think, the choices we make, how we behave, how we relate to other people. Ultimately, our ability to emotionally regulate plays a major role in our mental health. And it wasn't just one study either. One of the largest reviews on the topic looked at 249 studies involving 150,000 people across 37 different countries and regions, and found the same pattern. The way we regulate our emotions is consistently connected to our mental health. So no, emotional regulation isn't just another wellness buzzword. It's one of the most important skills you can build if you want a healthier mind and life. Okay, but how exactly does it shape our lives? Here's one ordinary example. Let's say you're driving to work. You're already running late, and then traffic completely stops. You look at the clock, and then you have this uncontrollable urge to switch lanes, hoping and praying it'll get you there just a little bit faster. Because in the back of your head, you're already thinking, I have to get there before someone notices. I knew I should have taken a different freeway. Your body has gone from driving to work to, uh-oh, something's wrong. Now here's the thing. There's nothing you can do about an accident on the freeway you can't even see yet. And even if you should have left earlier, you can't turn back time. You're already here. So now you have a choice. Option A, you grip the steering wheel tighter, get more frustrated, yell at the cars also stuck in this traffic, and show up to work super stressed out. You're short with coworkers, have trouble focusing. You carry that stress into your first meeting, or worse, the entire rest of your day because you're feeling like you're running behind the whole time. Now let's take a look at option B. You accept that the traffic is out of your control. Take a breath and maybe send a quick text letting your boss know you're running late. You still show up to work frustrated, but you don't show up defeated. You're able to focus on your work instead of replaying every mistake you made that made you late. Did you catch what happened there? Nothing about the situation changed. The traffic was still traffic, and you didn't magically get to work on time. The only thing that changed was how you responded to it. That's emotional regulation. The traffic was still annoying, but you didn't let it decide the kind of day you were gonna have. And the goal isn't to magically stop feeling frustrated. It's to keep that frustration from shaping the rest of your morning or day. See what I mean? The point is, shit like this happens dozens of times a day. Your significant other says, "Can we talk?" You immediately think, uh-oh, what did I do wrong? Your boss slacks you, "Can you come by my office before you leave today?" And you think, shit, I'm getting fired. Your friend leaves you on red. You think, They must be mad at me. Your kid spills milk on the newly wiped down floor, and you yell at them. Do you see the pattern? We don't just need emotional regulation when life falls apart. We need it in the tiny moments, dozens, maybe hundreds of times a day. And here's the wild part. Most of these moments happen so fast, we don't even realize our reactions have slipped into autopilot. And the reaction isn't even the problem. It's when we let it take the wheel. That's what keeps us in the same arguments, drowning in the same stress, and repeating the same patterns. But the good news is, it doesn't have to stay that way. Emotional regulation isn't something you either have or don't have. It's a skill. So why do some people seem so much better at it than others? The simplest answer, most of us were never taught how to do it. Instead, we learned by watching the adults who raised us. Some households yell, others ignore feelings. Some sweep everything under the rug. Some drink, some overwork, some pray. Some joke about everything because apparently if it's funny, it's not trauma. But no matter what it looked like in your home, a lot of us walked away learning the same lesson. Keep your feelings to yourself. So we push them down. We pretend, I'm fine. But here's what's fascinating. Research consistently shows that suppressing your emotions usually backfires because it's linked to more anxiety, more depression, and poorer psychological health over time. And you know how everyone's talking about how burnt out they are? Guess what? Almost 100 different studies show that the more people felt like they had to fake being okay, the more likely they were to burn out. And when it comes to relationships, people with healthier emotional regulation tend to communicate better, handle conflict better, and report happier, healthier relationships, which means they're less likely to avoid hard conversations, less likely to end up divorced, and less likely to feel lonely. Whether we're talking about work, relationships, or just how you feel on the inside, the pattern is the same. The way we deal with our emotions matters a lot. And like I said, the problem is most of us were never taught how to regulate our emotions. We just copied what the adults in the room did. And a lot of those adults were just copying the adults who raised them. I mean, it's called generational trauma for a reason. Patterns get passed down until someone notices them. And once you do, you finally get a choice to do it differently. So where do we even begin to emotionally regulate? Before you can regulate an emotion, you gotta be able to recognize them. Sounds obvious, right? Except it isn't. In fact, roughly 1 in 10 people struggle to identify what they're feeling. It's common enough that psychologists have a name for it. Alexithymia. Alexithymia? This word. It literally means you have a hard time recognizing your own emotions, which makes regulating them pretty fucking difficult. So how do you even begin to emotionally regulate when so many of us struggle with recognizing our own emotions? One word: practice.
We're talking about practice, man.
And no, I'm not asking you to magically stop feeling anxious or to stop feeling frustrated. I'm asking you to get better at noticing those emotions when they show up, because you can't regulate something you don't even realize is happening. Think about when you first started learning how to drive. Suddenly, you start noticing speed limit signs, brake lights, pedestrians, blind spots, things that had always been there, but your brain had never been trained to look for. That's exactly what emotional awareness is. Your emotions were always there. You're just training your brain to notice them. And you're not trying to figure yourself out. You're just collecting data. Maybe all you noticed is, I'm frustrated, I'm anxious, I'm embarrassed. That's enough, because the more you pay attention, the more your brain starts connecting the dots. Once you get good at noticing them, start getting curious. Ask yourself, what just happened? Why do I feel frustrated right now? Why do I feel anxious right now? Why do I feel embarrassed? And I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes you're gonna have to dig deep to find the answer. And other times you won't find the answer at all. That's okay. You're not trying to solve your entire life after one emotion. You're just trying to get better at noticing and understanding them. And getting a little more curious each time has compounding effects, just like progressive overload. And here's the cool part. This isn't just feel-good advice. Your brain literally changes based on what you repeatedly practice. Psychologists call this neuroplasticity. And the more you practice something, the easier it becomes for your brain to do it again. And that's really all a pattern is. Something your brain has practiced enough times that it starts to feel automatic. So if you keep practicing assuming the worst, your brain gets really good at assuming the worst. If you keep practicing avoidance, you get really good at avoiding. But if you practice noticing, getting curious, and responding differently, your brain gets better at that too. Eventually, you'll get to a point where you're like, oh, I don't get defensive every time someone disagrees with me. I get defensive when I feel dismissed. Or I don't shut down during every argument. I shut down when I feel like nobody's listening to me. That's when the patterns start to reveal themselves. And once you can see the pattern, you can finally start changing it. But here's what I wish more people understood. Most of us don't realize we're trying to solve emotional problems with productivity. We buy a planner, download another app, another habit tracker. We tell ourselves, I just need more discipline. I just need more motivation. All I need to do is stop procrastinating. The real problem isn't discipline, because discipline can't solve an emotion. It's that you're overwhelmed or anxious or afraid. And no planner in the world can regulate your nervous system. And we don't just do it with productivity. We drink, we doom scroll, we emotionally eat, we stay busy, we avoid hard conversations. We tell ourselves we're fine, all because nobody taught us how to sit with uncomfortable emotions. But here's the thing, you're gonna feel anxious. You're gonna feel angry. You're gonna feel overwhelmed. That's part of being human. Emotional regulation isn't about getting rid of those emotions. It's about becoming someone who knows what to do when those emotions show up and making sure they don't get to decide what kind of life you have. If you want to keep learning how to understand your emotions, your patterns, and why the hell you do the things that you do, make sure to subscribe, because this is where we unlearn the bullshit that gets in the way of the life you want. And if you want help doing this work in your own life, that's literally what I coach people through. Learn more about working with me at unlearnthebs.com.